Hello and welcome to the Eastman Sport Report. We are in Houston, outside of Toyota Center, where the Kings just beat the Houston Rockets, sweeping them in the season series 3-0.
The Kings won 113-103. They led the whole second half. They actually started the game really hot with a 16-point lead. I think it was
19-3.
Yeah,
yes.
19-3. And then the Rockets, as we were expected, you're like, this is too good to be true. The Rockets came all the way back and took a 1 or 2 point lead in the second quarter. It was actually very close most of the second quarter. And then the Kings, it was kind of back and forth in the second half, but they felt somewhat in control, but we did not feel comfortable.
As a Kings fan who has known disappointment for my entire life, I didn't feel at any point good that we were going to win this until the very last play of the game where Zach LaVine backdoor cut dunked, and I was like, okay, that's it, we're good.
And our major goal for this trip was to be able to yell, "Light the beam!" from inside of visiting arena. So we were able to stand up and cheer that and get everybody, all the Houston fans, looking around us. Some of the interesting things before we get to the game.
Yes.
The Houston fans, they were leaving the arena, and a lot of them were leaving.
4 minutes left.
Yeah, 4 minutes to left. The Kings are up by 10, 12 points. But you're like, there's still 4 minutes. This is an NBA game.
Yes.
And they're leaving the arena. That was kind of shocking.
I'm pretty sure half of the arena left by the time it was 3 minutes were left on the clock. Now, it ended up not mattering anyway because we still won. But it felt weird just to see a large exodus of fans.
I know. You're like, come on, dudes. I mean, we love our Kings, but let's be honest. They're not the most consistent players out there.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I did love to see that. Now, if you actually get to the game, probably the biggest storyline of the game was Domantas Sabonis. He did score the first free throw of the game, and I thought one of the keys to the game was going to be Sabonis versus Sengun. So Sabonis draws a foul on Sengun, gets a free throw, next time down the court, pulls up, it kind of was his left hamstring, and the Kings called it a second, immediate timeout, their second possession of the game. We're like, what's going on? And anyway, so Jonas Valanciunas comes in.
And then we looked later online and saw that he has a hamstring injury, which means that he's probably out in the Dallas game, which is Monday. So
no official word on that yet, but he was ruled out very quickly from a Twitter perspective and from a media perspective, which is not good news. We'll have to keep track of that to see where he's at. Now, getting back to the game, Valanciunas came in and did his best Sabonis impression of getting a double-double. He had 15 points, I think it was 11 or 12 rebounds. But I think a really difference maker in the game was Keelan Ellis.
Yes.
Keelan Ellis in the end of the third, into the fourth quarter, had 5 steals. Just took over the game, was all over the place. He had a couple where we had deflections, and then his teammates got the steal officially, but just all over the place defensively.
Just denying the Rockets the ability to come back, which was something that we needed, because as the Kings fan, I'm never comfortable with any form of lead unless we're playing the Hornets for some reason, because then you're up by 30, and at that point you're like,
Yes. Other news of notes here, the Kings actually had a very balanced attack. The leading scorer was DeMar DeRozan with 21, Zach LaVine at 20, but there was 7 players that got double figures. I think it was 6. Might have been 6 because it was 4 original starters and then Valanciunas and Keelan Ellis, so it might have only been 6. But just a great balanced effort. If I was to nitpick on some things, it would be Malik Monk's turnovers. I think he had 4 in the whole first half, and his normal wild and crazy turnovers. And that's what the Rockets able to come back in and get close in the game, made it close in the second quarter. But even though we were not uncomfortable with the lead, the Kings did feel in control. I never felt like the Rockets were in control. The Rockets just seemed off. Which is is that the Kings' defense? Is that they're just I don't know where they're at in their game schedules. But the Kings did win their third in the row, and are I think tied right now in the 9th place. I think 7-10 is all within 1 game. And I think when we were left, we haven't seen where the Golden State Warriors game is. It was tied with about 2 minutes to go, so not sure if we're gonna catch up on them or not.
I got nothing.
You got nothing. So anyway, that's some other news and notes of the game. Anything else, Max, for you?
I think the most important thing for the Dallas Mavericks game, which is Monday, so in less than 2 days actually, and we're going to be there, obviously, because we're in Texas.
Yeah.
But the most important thing for the Dallas game is to keep spreading out the ball. The reason why we won this game is because we didn't rely on one person to score, like we have when we had De'Aaron Fox, or sometimes we have to do with Domantas Sabonis or DeMar DeRozan. We didn't rely on one person to score. We'd spread the ball out evenly, and that led to Houston not knowing who to defend because everyone was scoring. So I think that was very important, that we need to spread the ball out and have everyone be able to score.
Yeah, the Rockets have a very good defensive team. I think when they put up in the thing, they have the 4th best defensive rating, and like 2 through 4 are really close. And like Amin Thompson, I noticed at the beginning of the game he was guarding DeMar DeRozan. Well, because DeMar DeRozan was out, Keegan Murray actually had a couple of good points at the beginning of the game. That's when Malik Monk got some points. They got Valanciunas, and so it's like, as the better defenders got moved around from the Rockets' perspective, the Kings were able to say, okay, you're guarding him, well, then we're going to go over here and get points. So I love the balance aspect of the game. Everybody was sharing the ball. I feel like if you go back to what we said kind of in our last podcast, practice makes a difference.
Practice does make a difference.
Like understanding your teammates. Like this is kind of a new team. When you bring in Jake LaRavia came in and he actually had some really good minutes. You had some good minutes out there. But getting this team more comfortable playing on the court together, so they're spreading the ball around and sharing the ball, that's a better team. Now, if I was to get to that, one of the things I would say is that's kind of against that is they only had 17. I think it was 17 or 18 assists. So that's one thing I would love to see, a little bit more assists. But we still won, and we only made 9 threes. Like it wasn't, we didn't make, wasn't just because we had a great shooting game, but it was a great balanced effort.
The thing that I think most important is going to come from this and the rest of the road trip throughout the games, because of Domantas Sabonis' hamstring injury, which probably means that he's going to be out for a significant amount of time, at least 2 weeks.
Well, he either's probably going to be out 1 or 2 days or a couple weeks. I think it's not going to be.
So I think the most important thing that's going to come from this is, what is Monty McNair going to see for this? Because we had this really long winning streak without De'Aaron Fox because he was hurt, so he sat down games. And now, if we have this really long winning streak without Domantas Sabonis, what is Monty McNair going to see that for? Is he going to try and trade Domantas Sabonis for something else before the start of next season? Is he going to try to move on from him in some way? I really hope that's not the lesson that we take away from this. I feel like this is just shows how good this team can be.
The lesson I would take is, thank God you traded for Jonas Valanciunas.
Yes.
Like without Valanciunas, our season might be pretty close to done. Because I like Trey Lyles, but like he's not your starting center.
Yes.
And so thank you, Lord, that we actually have Jonas Valanciunas to actually come in there and actually be a defensive presence, a big body. He did get 5 fouls out there, so he was clogging up the lane, but he got rebounds. He's not the most athletic of big guys, but he takes up so much space. His screens are huge. He gets down there and on the screen and roll, he knows how to use his big body, and he got some big points. I think he had like 15 points. So, yes, we would not have probably won this game without Valanciunas being in this game. So that was a great trade. I hope that's what Monty takes from. That's what my point is. I hope Monty takes that from the game, not that, hey, we don't need Sabonis.
Should I clarify? What do you want to take from this is that we need to have strong bench players.
Yes, I love strong. Yes, totally. The idea of having Keon Ellis come in and make a difference.
Yes.
Jake LaRavia came in and made a difference. Trey Lyles came in and made a difference. Like, the bench was super important today.
Yes. So we have to go to bed because it is getting late here in Houston. So this is going to be the Eastman Sport Report signing off from Houston. We'll see you guys in Dallas.